Hello, Treehouse book clubbers. This is Miss Karen, and I'm back with our next book for the Treehouse Book Club. This book is called Song for a Whale. It is by Lynne Kelly, and I must apologize for the length of time it's taken me to get this video going, but it's up now and you can watch it, and I'll talk a little bit about our activities at the end of my introduction to this book. Now, this book is about a 12-year-old girl named Iris, and she is very intelligent. And I'm going to read you the blurb at the beginning. It says, from fixing the class computer to repairing old radios, 12-year-old Iris is a tech genius. But she is the only deaf person in her school. So people often treat her like she's not very smart. If you've ever felt like no one was listening to you, then you know how hard that can be. When she learns about Blue 55, a real whale who is unable to speak to other whales, she understands how the whale feels. Then she has an idea. She should invent a way to sing to him. But he's 3,000 miles away. How is she going to play her song for him? Now, if you didn't know, a lot of whales communicate by what is called whale song, and that is noises that they make that send messages to the other whales in the ocean. So Iris, who, as the blurb said, is deaf and has trouble communicating with people, except for her grandparents, who are also deaf and who know sign language. She's having problems at school. She also has a teacher who's not really helpful to her. So I'm going to read the first chapter of the book, and then I'll talk a little more about our activities that I have up on the library website. This book is dedicated to, let me find it, somewhere it's here. It is dedicated for everyone who's ever felt alone. And I know pretty much all of us have felt alone at some time in our life. So chapter 1. Until last summer, I thought the only thing I had in common with that whale on the beach was a name. I sat with Grandpa after collecting shells and driftwood scattered along the shore, and wildflowers from the dunes. The shells and driftwood were for Grandma, and the flowers were for the whale. Grandpa had asked how school is going, and I told him it was the same, which wasn't good. I'd been at that school for 2 years, and I still felt like the new kid. Grandpa patted the sand next to him. Did you know she was probably deaf too, he signed. I didn't have to ask who he meant. The whale had been buried there for 11 years, and my parents had told me enough times about what happened that day. I shook my head. I hadn't known that. I didn't know why Grandpa was changing the subject. Maybe he didn't know what to tell me anymore about school. The whale had beached herself the same day I was born. When she was spotted in the shallow waters of the Gulf, some people stood on the shore and watched her approach. My grandma ran into the cold February water and tried to push her away from the land, as if she could make a 40-ton animal change her mind about where she wanted to go. That was really dangerous. Even though the whale was weak by then, one good whack of a tail or flipper could have knocked Grandma out. I don't know what I would have done. Jumped in like she did, or just stood there. She wasn't born deaf like we were, Grandpa continued. The scientists who studied her said it just happened. Maybe she'd been swimming near an explosion from an oil rig or a bomb test. When Grandpa told a story, I saw it as clearly as if it were happening right in front of me. His signing hands showed me the whale in an ocean that suddenly went quiet, swimming over there, over there, over there, trying to find the sounds again. Maybe that's why she'd been there on our Gulf of Mexico beach instead of in deep ocean waters where she belonged. Say whales didn't swim so close to shore, only her on that day. A whale can't find its way through the world without sound, Grandpa added. The ocean is dark and it covers most of the earth, and whales live in all of it. The sounds guide them through that, and they talk to one another across the oceans. With the familiar sounds of the ocean gone, the whale was lost in her new silent world. A rescue group came to the beach and tried to save the whale, and they called her Iris. Grandma asked my parents to give the name to me, too, since I'd entered the world just as the whale was leaving it. After marine biologists learned all they could from her, she was buried right there on the beach, along with the unanswered questions about what had brought her to that shore. We lived on that coast until the summer after second grade, when my family moved to Houston for my dad's new job. Since then, we went back just once or twice a summer. The good thing about our new home was that it was closer to my grandparents. I liked being able to spend more time with them, especially since they were both deaf like me. But we all missed the beach, and I missed being around kids like me. My old school had just a few deaf kids, but that was enough. We had our classes together, and we had one another. But it's different for us, Grandpa sighed. Out here, there's more light, and all we need is our own small space to feel at home. Sometimes it takes time to figure things out, but you'll do it. You'll find your way. I wish I'd asked him then how long that would take. So that's the beginning of Song for a Whale. Now, if you go to the library webpage and click on Youth Services and go to the Kids section, you'll see the book clubs icon. And go to there and you will find for Song for a Whale, you'll find discussion questions, questions you can think about while reading the book, and also some puzzle work. So I hope you enjoy Song for a Whale. I thought it was excellent, but then I have deaf people in my family, or I did. They're no longer with us. But there were a number of deaf people in my family. So I kind of know what it's like not being able to communicate well with them. There's so many things I wish I had learned about my great aunt and my grandfather and the others in his family that were deaf. But I couldn't communicate with them. I also encourage you to learn at least the alphabet of sign language. That way, if you meet someone who is deaf, who has a hearing impairment, you might be able to communicate with them by spelling out words. You can find books or go online and you can find how to do the alphabet in sign language. I learned it long, long ago, but unfortunately, my family members didn't know sign language, so it didn't help me communicate with them. I hope you enjoy this book, and I hope to be back much sooner with our next book. Bye bye.